नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवसमारम्भां नित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्तिमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ललाटे त्रिपुण्ड्री निट्लकृतकस्तूरीतिलकः स्फुरन्मालाधारस्फुरितकटिकौपी नवसनः दधानो दुस्तारं शिरसि फणिराजं शशिकलां प्रदीपः सर्वेषां अरुणगिरियोगी विजयते. Nityanandam, we welcome all the participants and viewers who are watching this Uttamottama Seva being offered at the feet of Sri Nityanandeshwari Parashakti Sameta Sri Nityanandeshwara Paramashiva. Paramashiva, who is beyond the form and the formless, assumes form for the sake of the devotion of the devotees, out of his sheer compassion and grace for connecting with us and moving us from our delusions to liberation. Paramashiva is the source of everything that is manifest and unmanifest. Paramashiva does the Panchakritya of creation, sustenance, rejuvenation, pulling out of delusion and liberation. Using his own willpower, he does the first four of the Panchakrityas, but for doing the fifth one, which is the Anugraha, he needs our cooperation and our completion and our decision to move, to drop out our delusions and move into liberation. For doing this last of the Panchakritya of Anugraha, of liberating us from all delusions, he assumes the form of a guru. Guru is the Vyakta, the manifest part of Paramashiva, and Paramashiva is the Avyakta, the unmanifest form of the Guru. Bhagavan Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that whenever the dharma falls, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyutthanamas dharmasya tatatmanam srijamiham परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे. Whenever the dharma falls to protect the pious and to destroy the evildoers, Paramashiva incarnates again and again, every age, for re-establishing the path of dharma and to re-establish the signs of the enlightenment and living a life of a Jivan Mukta. In the modern age, the supreme consciousness, the ultimate consciousness, has manifested as the supreme pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Swamiji has took up the immense responsibility of re-establishing the Shri Kailasas, which are the enlightenment ecosystems all around the world. As a part of re-establishing the Shri Kailasas, Swamiji has established many temples all around the world. Temples are the places where the supreme, the ultimate consciousness of Paramashiva manifests as Archavataras, as deities. so that in such a way that we can relate to the deities, we can relate to Paramashiva through the deities by offering Abhishekam, by offering pujas to Paramashiva through the deity. The Sri Kailasa, the lifestyle of the Sanatana Hindu Dharma itself is temple centric. Everything used to happen in temple, may it be teaching, playing, eating, anything, everything in the Sanatana Hindu Dharma used to happen in the temple and being centered onto the temple. When we say about being centric, being temple centric, it is being Paramashiva centric. Anything we used to do, anything we do as a part of the lifestyle of Sanatana Hindu Dharma is for Paramashiva, is being centered on the Paramashivatva, the state, space of Paramashiva, which is within us and manifests everything around us. The lifestyle of Sanatana Hindu Dharma is full of celebrations. Swamiji had beautifully said in Satsangs that out of 365 days in a year, the Hinduism has 300 days of celebration, and the rest 65 days go in the preparation for those celebrations. Being a Hindu is having a life which is full of celebrations. We had recently celebrated the Ashwina Amavasya, which is also known as Deepavali. Ashwina Amavasya is a very significant day for our Sangha, where after Swamiji entered his first great pause for 9 months, when he was in immense samadhi, Devi Parashakti, the cosmic mother, Shri Mahakali, was protecting Swamiji's body for 9 months while he was in immense samadhi, and at the end of the 9th month, Swamiji had settled down from his samadhi in such a way where we can relate to him and speak to him. Out of the samadhi, the very first words he spoke were Anandamaga Irungal, which means be blissful. It is because of the grace of Devi Parashakti, the cosmic mother, Devi Mahakali, we can experience and understand Swamiji, the state, space of Swamiji, who's Paramashiva, in our understanding and our level. After the Ashwina Amavasya, at the end of the day of the Ashwina Amavasya, we had celebrated and offered a very grand Chandi Homa to Devi Parashakti, and we had also offered the Kali Puja, which after the Ashwina Amavasya we had celebrated the first day of the Skandashashti Mahotsavam by starting the Shatrasamhara Trishiti Homa. It's a very unique and special Homa offered to Lord Shanmukha Swami, who is the form of Subramanya with 6 faces and 12 hands, being seated on the Mayura. The Shatrasamhara Trishiti Homa helps us in removing all the enmity from our life. The word Samhara means Samharati iti Samhara, means taking back something to its source is called samhara in Sanskritam. There's difference between just killing and doing samhara. The word usually used for just killing is called vadha, like dhumralochana vadha. But when the concept comes to samhara, it becomes liberation centric and not destruction centric. In Devi Mahatmyam, in the 10th chapter of Devi Mahatmyam, Devi says, Ekaivaham jagatyatra dvitiyaka mamapara pashyata dushtamayeva vishantyo madvibhutayaha. She says that there is only me, one in the cosmos. There is no second. When she says that, we need to understand that it is also the enemy, is also her own manifestation. It's just, even the enemy we face in our life is nothing but our own manifestation. Taking back and dropping that enmity within us will destroy all our enemies naturally. Through this Shatru Samhara Trishiti Homam, we destroy the enmity which is there within us to destroy the enemies who are outside. And we had concluded the day by witnessing the Guru Payarchi, which is moving of Lord Brihaspati, who is the Guru of all the Devas, moving into a new Rashi. The time of Guru Payarchi is very special, where we can have the grace of Guru on us in a multifold way. We had celebrated the Guru Payarchi by offering the Dakshinamurti Homam, which is a fire ritual which is offered to Adi Guru Dakshinamurti when Paramashiva had manifested as Dakshinamurti sitting in Upanishad in silence.
Yesterday was the first day of the Skanda Sasti Mahotsavam. 6 days are celebrated after the Ashwina Amavasya in the grace and the valor of Lord Subramanya, the very completion of Paramashiva, the very son of Paramashiva, who has powerfully both the energies of Paramashiva and Parashakti. He is known to be the one who had come down to the Bhuloka, to the world, to kill the terrible tormentor, the demon, Tarakasura. His story of how he gracefully learned Subramanya is one of the most celebrated deities in the south part of India and all over the continent as the son of Paramashiva. He is known as Kartikeya, the one born in the forest of Kritika forest, brought up by the Kritika women. His favorite vehicle to ride is known as the peacock. The beautiful peacock is known to be the vehicle on which Subramanya is seen riding on. Every day, a puja is offered to the Utsava Vigraha of Subramanya here in Adi Kailasa Nithyananda Pita, worshipping him and the deity of Subramanya is decorated and offered Abhishekam to every day. Now, let us get ready for the Uttama Paksha Upachara Yukta Puja. A puja described in the Vedagamas, specifically the foremost Agama, the Kamika Agama, Paramashiva describes the Uttama Seva, the best of the best worship. In last night's Satsang, Swamiji has beautifully given us a secret, his own secret, that is his puja, and how much detail the Kamagagama gives about puja and the elaborateness of doing puja. He says, Swamiji said last night, that the longer you sit in puja, the longer you sit in that space of oneness with Paramashiva, the most benefit, the most best things, good things will. It's a beautiful way that Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam is guiding Kailasha. With that same context in mind, with the guidance of Swamiji, he is only giving us the grace and reviving this tradition and giving us the opportunity to engage in the Uttamottama Seva every day to Paramashiva here, helping us connect with him daily. Sorry about that. Let us now begin to connect with Paramashiva. Be ready to receive him today. The darshan of Paramashiva is all that we seek, to be able to sit in front of him, receive his blessings, receive his darshan. So, sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Inhale and exhale as slowly as possible, as deeply as possible. Bring your awareness to your whole spine. Let it rise and fall with your deep breathing.
Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Let us now chant the Mahavakya.
Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Let us chant the Mahavakya.
Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. 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 Om
नित्यानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिव समारम्भाम् नित्यानन्देश्वरि पराशक्तिमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ललाटे त्रिपुण्ड्री निट्लकृतकस्तूरीतिलकः स्फुरन्मालाधारस्फुरितकटिकोऽपि नवसनः दधानो दुस्तारं शिरसि फणिराजं शशिकलां प्रदीपः सर्वेषाम् अरुणगिरियोगी विजयते। ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनच्छृण्वन्नोतिभिस्सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ व्योमव्यापिने व्योमरूपाय सर्वव्यापिने शिवाय अनन्ताय अनाथाय अनाश्रिताय ध्रुवाय शाश्वताय योगपीठसंस्थिताय नित्ययोगिने ध्यानाहाराय ॐ नमः शिवाय सर्वप्रभवे शिवाय ईशानमूर्धाय तत्पुरुषवक्त्राय अघोरहृदयाय वामदेवगुह्याय सद्योजातमूर्तये ॐ नमो नमः। गुह्यातिगुह्याय गोप्त्रे अनिधनाय सर्वयोगाधिकृताय सर्वविद्याधिपाय ज्योतिरूपाय परमेश्वरपराय अचेतन अचेतन व्योमिन् व्योमिन् व्यापिन् व्यापिन् अरूपिन् अरूपिन् प्रथमः प्रथम तेजस्तेजः ज्योतिर्ज्योतिः अरूप अनग्नि अधूम अभस्म अनादे नाना नाना धू 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 ॐ भूः ॐ भुवः ॐ स्वः अनिधन निधन निधनोद्भव शिव शर्व परमात्मन्ने महेश्वर महादेव सद्भावेश्वर महातेजः योगाधिपते मुञ्च मुञ्च प्रथमः प्रथम शर्व शर्व भव भव भवोद्भव सर्वभूतसुखप्रद सर्वसान्निध्यकर ब्रह्म विष्णुरुद्रपर अनर्चितानर्चित असंस्तुतासंस्तुत पूर्वस्थित पूर्वस्थित साक्षि साक्षी तुरु तुरु पतंग पतंग पिंग पिंग ज्ञान ज्ञान शब्द शब्द सूक्ष्म सूक्ष्म शिव शर्व शर्वद ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमो नमः शिवाय नमो नमः ओम। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम दशांगं गुग्गुलोपेदं सुगंधं च सुमनोहरम् आघ्रेय सर्वदेवानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम्। ओम हां हूं शिवाय नमः। ओम श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। धूपमाघ्रापयामि। ओम आज्यं त्रिवर्ति संयुक्तं वह्निना योजितं मया ग्रहाणमङ्गलं दीपं त्रैलोक्यतिमिरापहं दीपं दर्शयामि। अथ नैवेद्यम् ओम अमृते अमृतोद्भवे अमृतवर्षिणी अमृतं श्रावय श्रावय स्वाहा। ओम हां हूं शिवाय नमः। ओम श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। नैवेद्यं निवेदयामि नैवेद्यानन्तरमाचमनं समर्पयामि। ओम तन्महेशाय विद्महे वाग्विशुद्धाय धीमहि तन्नः शिव प्रचोदयात्। ओम हां हूं शिवाय नमः। ओम श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। कर्पूर नीराजनं संदर्शयामि रक्षां धारयामि। ॐ नमो भगवते रुद्राय। ॐ अथात्मानगुं शिवात्मानगः श्रीरुद्ररूपं ध्यायेत्। शुद्धस्फटिकसङ्काशं त्रिनेत्रं पञ्चवक्त्रकं गङ्गाधरं दशभुजं सर्वाभरणभूषितं नीलग्रीवं शशाङ्काङ्कं नागयज्ञोपवीतिनं व्याघ्रचर्मोत्तरीयं च वरेण्यम् अभयप्रदं कमण्डलवक्षसूत्राणां धारिणं शूलपाणिनं ज्वलन्तं पिङ्गलजटाशिखामुद्योतधारिणं वृषस्कन्धसमारूढम् उमादेहार्दधारिणम् अमृतेनाप्लुतं शान्तं दिव्यभोगसमन्वितं दिग्देवतासमायुक्तं सुरासुरनमस्कृतं नित्यं च शाश्वतं शुद्धं ध्रुवमक्षरमव्ययं सर्वव्यापिनमीशानं रुद्रं वै विश्वरूपिणम् एवं ध्यात्वा द्विजः सम्यक् ततो यजनमारभेत् प्रजनने ब्रह्मा तिष्ठतु पादयोर्विष्णुस्तिष्ठतु हस्तयोर्हरस्तिष्ठतु बाह्वोरिन्द्रस्तिष्ठतु जठरे अग्निस्तिष्ठतु हृदये शिवस्तिष्ठतु कण्ठे वसवस्तिष्ठन्तु वक्त्रे सरस्वती तिष्ठतु नासिकयोर्वायुस्तिष्ठतु नयनयोश्चन्द्रादित्यौ तिष्ठेताम् कर्णयोरश्विनौ तिष्ठेताम् ललाटे रुद्रास्तिष्ठन्तु मूर्ध्न्यादित्यास्तिष्ठन्तु शिरसि महादेवस्तिष्ठतु शिखायां वामदेवस्तिष्ठतु पृष्ठे पिनाकी तिष्ठतु पुरतः शूली तिष्ठतु पार्श्वयोः शिवाशङ्करौ तिष्ठेताम् सर्वतो वायुस्तिष्ठतु ततो बहिः सर्वतोऽग्निर्ज्वालामाला परिवृतस्तिष्ठतु सर्वेष्वङ्गेषु सर्वा देवता यथा स्थानं तिष्ठन्तु मां रक्षन्तु सर्वान् महाञ्जनान् रक्षन्तु सर्वान् नित्यानन्दभक्तान् रक्षन्तु अग्निर्मे वाचि श्रुतः वाग्हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि वायुर्मे प्राणे श्रुतः प्राणो हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि सूर्यो मे चक्षुषि श्रुतः चक्षुर्हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि चन्द्रमा मे मनसि श्रुतः मनो हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि दिशो मे श्रोत्रे श्रिताः श्रोत्रगुं हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि पृथिवी मे शरीरे श्रिताः शरीरगुं हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि औषधिवनस्पतयो मे लोमसुश्रिताः लोमानि हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि इन्द्रो मे बले श्रितः बलगुं हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि पर्जन्यो मे मूर्ध्नि श्रितः मूर्धा हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि ईशानो मे मन्यौ श्रुतः मन्युर्हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि आत्मा आत्मनि श्रितः आत्मा हृदये हृदयं मयि अहममृते अमृतं ब्रह्मणि पुनर्म आत्मा पुनरायुरागात् पुनः प्राणः पुनराकूतमागात् वैश्वानरो रश्मिभिर्वावृधानः अन्तस्तिष्ठत्वमृतस्य गोपाः। ॐ आपातालनभस्तलान्तभुवनब्रह्माण्डमाविस्फुरत् ज्योतिष्पाटिकलिङ्गमौलिविलसत्पूर्णेन्दुवान्तामृतैः अस्तोकाप्लुतमेकमीशमनिशं रुद्रानुवाकाञ्जपन् ध्यायेदीप्सितसिद्धये ध्रुवपदं विप्रोभिषिञ्चेच्छिवम् ब्रह्माण्डव्याप्तदेहा भसितहिमरुचा भासमाना भुजङ्गैः कण्ठे कालार्कपर्दा कलितशशिकलाश्चण्डकोदण्डहस्ताः त्र्यक्षा रुद्राक्षमालाः प्रकटितविभवा शाम्भवा मूर्तिभेदाः रुद्रा श्रीरुद्रसूक्तप्रकटितविभवानः प्रयच्छन्तु सौख्यम्। ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आन शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ॐ श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। शं च मे मयश्च मे प्रियं च मेऽनुकामश्च मे कामश्च मे सौमनसश्च मे भद्रं च मे श्रेयश्च मे वस्यश्च मे यशश्च मे भगश्च मे द्रविणं च मे यन्ता च मे धर्ता च मे क्षेमश्च मे धृतिश्च मे विश्वं च मे महश्च मे संविच्च मे ज्ञात्रं च मे सोश्च मे प्रसोश्च मे क्षीरं च मे लयश्च मरुतं च मे मृतं च मे यक्ष्मं च मे नामयच्च मे जीवातुश्च मे दीर्घायुत्वं च मे न मित्रं च मे भयं च मे सुखं च मे शयनं च मे सूषा च मे सुदिनं च मे। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ तन्महेशाय विद्महे वाग्विशुद्धाय धीमहि तन्न शिव प्रचोदयात्। ॐ हां हूं शिवाय नमः। ॐ श्री नित्यानन्देश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। कर्पूर नीराजनं सन्दर्शयामि रक्षान् धारयामि। ॐ ॐ नमो भगवते रुद्राय। नमस्ते रुद्रमन्यव उतोत इषवे नमः। नमस्ते अस्तु धन्वने बाहुभ्यामुत ते नमः। यात इषु शिवतमा शिवं बभूव ते धनुः। शिवाशरव्या यातवतया नो रुद्रमृडया। या ते रुद्रशिवा तनोरघोरा पापकाशिनी। तया नस्तनुवाशन्तमया गिरिशन्ताभिचाकशीः। यामिषुं गिरिशन्तहस्ते बिभर्ह्यस्तवे। शिवां गिरित्रतां कुरु माहि गुंसीः पुरुषं जगते। शिवेन वचसा त्वा गिरिशाच्छावदामसि। यथा नः सर्वमिज्जगद यक्ष्मगुं सुमना असते। अध्यवोचदधिवक्ताः प्रथमो दैव्योऽभिषके। अहीगश्च सर्वान् जम्भयन् सर्वाश्च यातु धान्यः। असौ यस्ताम्रो अरुण उत बभ्रुः सुमङ्गलः। ये चेमागुं रुद्रा अभितो दिक्षु श्रुता। सहस्रशो वैशागुं हेडयीमहे। असौ यो वसर्पति नीलग्रीवो विलोहितः। उतैनं गोपा अदृशन्नदृशन्नुत हार्यः। उतैनं विश्वा भूतानि स दृष्टो मृडयातिनः। नमो अस्तु नीलग्रीवाय सहस्राक्षाय मीडुषे। अथो ये अस्य सत्त्वानोऽहं देभ्यो करं नमः। प्रमुञ्च धन्वनस्त्वमुभयोरात्निजोर्ज्याम्। याश्च ते हस्त इषव पराता भगवो वप। अवदत्य धनुस्त्वगुं सहस्राक्षदते शुधे। निशीर्य शल्यानामुखा शिवो नः सुमना भव। बिज्जं धनुःकपर्दिनो विशल्यो बाणवागुम् उत। अनेषण्णस्येषव आभुरस्य निषङ्गतिः। याते हेतिर्मीढुष्टमहस्ते बभूव ते धनुः। तयास्मान् विश्वतस्त्वमयक्ष्मया परिभुज। नमस्ते अस्त्वायुधाय नातताय धृष्णवे। उभाभ्यामुत ते नमो बाहुभ्यां तव धन्वने। परिते धन्वनो हेतिरस्मान् वृणक्तु विश्वतः। अथो य इषुधिस्तवारे अस्मिन्निधेहितम्। नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकालाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय नित्यानन्दाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। नमो हिरण्यबाहवे सेनान्ये दिशाञ्च पतये। नमो नमो वृक्षेभ्यो हरिकेशेभ्यः पशूनां पतये नमो नमः सस्पिञ्जराय तुषीमते पथीनां पतये नमो नमो बभ्लुषाय विव्याधिनेन्नानां पतये नमो नमो हरिकेशायोपवीतिने पुष्टानां पतये नमो नमो भवस्य हेत्यै जगतां पतये नमो नमो रुद्राय तताविने क्षेत्राणां पतये नमो नमः सूताय हन्त्याय वनानां पतये नमो नमो रोहिताय स्तपतये वृक्षाणां पतये नमो नमो मन्त्रिणे वाणिजाय कक्षानां पतये नमो नमो भुवन्तये वारिवस्कृताय औषधीनां पतये नमो नम उच्चैर्घोषाय क्रन्दयते बत्तीनां पतये नमो नमः कृष्णवीताय धावते सत्त्वनां पतये नमः नमः सहमानाय निव्याधिन आव्याधिनीनां पतये नमो नमः ककुभाय निषङ्गिणे स्तेनानां पतये नमो नमो निषङ्गिण इषुधिमते तस्कराणां पतये नमो नमो वञ्चते परिवञ्चते स्तायूनां पतये नमो नमो निचेरवे परिचरायारण्यानां पतये नमो नमः सृकाविभ्यो जिघागुंसद्भ्यो मुष्णतां पतये नमो नमोऽसिमद्भ्यो नक्तं चरद्भ्य प्रकृन्तानां पतये नमो नम उष्णीषिणे गिरिचराय कुलुञ्चानां पतये नमो नम इषुमद्भ्यो धन्वाविभ्यश्च वो नमो नम आतन्वानेभ्यः प्रतिदधानेभ्यश्च वो नमो नम नम आयच्छद्भ्यो विसृजद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमोऽस्यद्भ्यो विद्यद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नम आसीनेभ्यः शयानेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः स्वपद्भ्यो जाग्रद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमस्तिष्ठद्भ्यो धावद्भ्यश्च वो नमो नमः सभाभ्यः सभापतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो अश्वेभ्योऽश्वपतिभ्यश्च वो नमः नम आव्याधिनीभ्यो विविध्यन्तेभ्यश्च वो नमो नम उगणाभ्यस्त्रिगुंहतेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गृत्सेभ्यो गृत्सपदेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो व्रातेभ्यो व्रातपदेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो गणेभ्यो गणपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो विरूपेभ्यो विश्वरूपेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमो महद्भ्यः क्षुल्लकेभ्यश्च वो नमो रथिभ्यो रथेभ्यश्च वो नमो रथेभ्यो रथपतिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः सेनाभ्यः सेनानिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः क्षत्रुभ्यः सङ्ग्रहेतृभ्यश्च वो नमो नमस्तक्षद्भ्यो रथकारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः कुलालेभ्यः कर्मारेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः पुञ्जिष्टेभ्यो निषादेभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः इषुकृद्भ्यो धन्वकृद्भ्यश्च वो नमो मृगयुभ्यश्वनिभ्यश्च वो नमो नमः श्वभ्यश्वपदिभ्यश्च वो नमः ॐ राजाधिराजाय प्रसह्य साहिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे समे कामां कामकामाय मह्यं कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः ॐ तन्महेशाय विद्महे वाग्विशुद्धाय धीमहि तन्नः शिव प्रचोदयात्। ओम हां हों शिवाय नमः। ओम श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। कर्पूर नीराजनं संदर्शयामि रक्षां धारयामि। ओम दशांगम गुग्गुलोपेतं सुगंधं च सुमनोहरम् आघ्रेय सर्वदेवानां धूपोऽयं प्रतिगृह्यताम्। ओम हां हुं शिवाय नमः। ओम श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। धूपमाघ्रापयामि। ओम आज्यं त्रिवर्ति संयुक्तं वह्निना योजितं मया ग्रहाणमंगलं दीपं त्रैलोक्यतिमिरापहम्। ओम हां हुं शिवाय नमः। ओम श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। दीपं दर्शयामि। ओम अमृते अमृतोद्भवे अमृतवर्षिणी अमृतं श्रावय श्रावय स्वाहा। ओम हां हों शिवाय नमः। ओम श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। नैवेद्यं निवेदयामि। नैवेद्यान्तरमाचमनं समर्पयामि। ओम नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यंबकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकालाग्निकालाय कालाग्नि रुद्राय नीलकंठाय नित्यानंदाय मृत्युंजयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। ओम हां हों शिवाय नमः। ओम श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिवाय नमः। कर्पूर नीराजनं संदर्शयामि रक्षां धारयामि। ओम योपां पुष्पं वेद पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति। चन्द्रमा वा अपां पुष्पं पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति। य एवं वेद योपामायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति। वेदोत्तमपुष्पाञ्जलिं समर्पयामि। The next offering as a part of the Uttamottama Seva is the offering of the Chaturveda. Vedas are the source scriptures of Hinduism. The Vedas are classified in 4 parts: the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda and the Atharvana Veda. Now we'll be offering the hymns and the shlokas from the 4 Vedas. देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिव चतुर्वेद प्रिय चतुर्वेदमवधारय। हरिः ओम अग्निमीळे पुरोहितं यज्ञस्य देवं ऋत्विजं होतारं रत्नधातवम्। हरिः ओम ईशेत्तोर्जे त्वा वायवस्थो वायवस्थ देवोपसविता प्रार्पयजुष्येष्ठतमाय कर्मणे हरिः ओम् हरिः ओम् अग्न आयाहि वीतये घृणानो हव्यदातये निहोता सत्सि बर्हिषि हरिः ओम् षण्णो देवीरभिष्टय आपो भवन्तु पीतये संयोरभिस्रवन्तु नः हरिः ओम्. The next offering as a part of the Uttamottama Seva is the offering of the Agama Shlokas. Just as how the Vedas are the pure science of the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, the Agamas are the applied science. The Vedas are the breath of Paramashiva and Agamas are the words of Paramashiva. Now we'll be offering the shlokas from the Agamas at the feet of Shri Nithyananda Parashakti Sameta Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam. देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिव आगम श्लोक प्रिय आगम श्लोकानवधारय. श्री भगवानुवाच अति कौतूहलाविष्टा पृच्छस्येतच्छृणु प्रिये यन्मे नेत्रान्तरे वह्निः यद्वामृतमनुत्तमम्. The next offering as a part of the Uttamottama Seva is the offering of the Samagana. Paramashiva is known as the Samagana Priya, the one who is fond of the hymns from the Samaveda. देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिव सामगान प्रिय सामगानमवधारय. एतत् सामगायन्नास्ते हावू अहमन्नमहमन्नमहमन्नम् अहमन्नादो अहमन्नादः अहग्श्लोककृत अहमस्मि प्रथमजाऋतास्य पूर्वं देवेभ्यो अमृतस्य नाभाजी यो मा ददाति सै देवमावाह अहमन्नमन्नमदन्तमाद्मि अहं विश्वम्भो नमभ्यभवाम् सुवर्णज्योतिः हरिः ओम्. The next offering as a part of the Uttamottama Seva is the offering of the Stotras. Stotras are the hymns which exaggerate on the Ananta Kalyana Gunas of Paramashiva. Now we will be offering the Stotras at the feet of Shri Nithyananda Parashakti Sameta Shri Nithyananda Paramashiva. देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिव स्तोत्र प्रिय स्तोत्रमवधारय. ओम दुस्वप्न दुर्शकुन दुर्गति दौर्मनस्य दुर्भिक्ष दुर्व्यसन दुस्सह दुर्यशांसि उत्पाततापि विषभीतिमसद्ग्रहार्ति व्याधींश्च नाशयतु मे जगतामधीशः. ओम नमो भगवते सदाशिवाय सकलतत्त्वात्मकाय सर्वमन्त्रस्वरूपाय सर्वयन्त्राधिष्ठिताय सर्वतन्त्रस्वरूपाय सर्वतत्त्वविदूराय ब्रह्मरुद्रावतारिणे नीलकण्ठाय पार्वती मनोहराय सोमसूर्याग्निलोचनाय भस्मोद्धूलितविग्रहाय महामणिमुकुटधारणाय माणिक्यभूषणाय सृष्टिस्थितिप्रलयकालरौद्रावताराय दक्षाध्वरध्वंसकाय महाकालभेदनाय मूलाधारैकनिलयाय तत्त्वातीताय गंगाधराय सर्वदेवाधिदेवाय षडाश्रयाय वेदान्तसाराय त्रिवर्गसाधनाय अनन्तकोटिब्रह्माण्डनायकाय वासुकितक्षककार्कोटकशङ्खगुलिकपद्ममहापद्मेति अष्टमहानागकुलभूषणाय प्रणवस्वरूपाय चिदाकाशाय आकाशदिक्स्वरूपाय ग्रहनक्षत्रमालिने सकलाय कलङ्करहिताय सकललोकैककर्त्रे सकललोकैकभर्त्रे सकललोकैकसंहर्त्रे सकललोकैकगुरवे सकललोकैकसाक्षिणे सकलनिगमगुह्याय सकलवेदान्तपारगाय सकललोकैकवरप्रदाय सकललोकैकशङ्कराय शशाङ्कशेखराय शाश्वतनिजावासाय निराभासाय निरामयाय निर्मलाय निर्लोभाय निर्मदाय निश्चिन्ताय निरहङ्काराय निरङ्कुशाय निष्कलङ्काय निर्गुणाय निष्कामाय निरुपद्रवाय निरवध्याय निरन्तराय निष्कारणाय निरन्तकाय निष्प्रपञ्चाय निस्सङ्गाय निर्द्वन्द्वाय निराधाराय निरागाय निष्क्रोधाय निर्मलाय निष्पापाय निर्भयाय निर्विकल्पाय निर्भेदाय निष्क्रियाय निस्तुलाय निस्संशयाय निरञ्जनाय निरुपमविभवाय नित्यशुद्धबुद्धपरिपूर्णसच्चिदानन्दाद्वयाय परमशान्तस्वरूपाय तेजोरूपाय तेजोमयाय जय जय रुद्र महारौद्र भद्रावतार महाभैरव कालभैरव कल्पान्तभैरव कपालमालाधर खट्वांग खड्गचर्म पाशाङ्कुशडमरशूलचापबाणगदा शक्तिभिन्दिपाल तोमर मुसलमुद्गर पाशपरिग भुजुण्डीशतग्नि चक्राद्यायुधभीषणकर सहस्रमुख दंष्ट्राकरालवदन विकटाट्टहास विस्फारित ब्रह्माण्डमण्डल नागेन्द्रकुण्डल नागेन्द्रहार नागेन्द्रवलय नागेन्द्रचर्मधर मृत्युञ्जय त्र्यम्बक त्रिपुरान्तक विश्वरूप विरूपाक्ष विश्वेश्वर वृषभवाहन विषभूषण विश्वतोमुख सर्वतो रक्ष रक्ष मां ज्वल ज्वल महामृत्युम् अपमृत्युभयं नाशय नाशय चोरभयम् उत्सादय उत्सादय विषसर्पभयं शमय शमय चोरान् मारय मारय मम शत्रून् उच्चाटय उच्चाटय त्रिशूलेन विदारय विधारय कुठारेण भिन्दि भिन्दि खड्गेन छिन्दि छिन्दि खट्वाङ्गेन विपोथय विपोथय मुसलेन निष्पेषय निष्पेषय बाणैः सन्ताडय सन्ताडय रक्षांसि भीषय भीषय भूतानि विद्रावय विद्रावय कूष्माण्डमारीच वेताल ब्रह्मराक्षसगणान् सन्त्रासय सन्त्रासय माम् अभयं कुरु कुरु विस्त्रस्तं माम् आश्वासय आश्वासय नरकभयान् माम् उद्धर उद्धर सञ्जीवय सञ्जीवय क्षुत्रुभ्यां माम् आप्यायय आप्यायय दुःखातुरं माम् आनन्दय आनन्दय शिवकवचेन माम् आच्छादय आच्छादय मृत्युञ्जय त्र्यम्बक सदाशिव नमस्ते नमस्ते। The next offering is a part of the Uttamotama Seva, is the offering of the Dravida Vedam, the hymns from the Dravida Bhasha, sung by Trijnana Sambandar. देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिव द्राविड वेद प्रिय द्राविड वेद अवधारय शिवा त्रिचुट्रंबलम தோடுடைய செவியன் விடையேறிவோர் தூவன் மதிசூடி காடுடைய சுடலை பொடி பூசியன் உள்ளம் கவர்கல்வன் ஏடுடைய வளரான் ஒனை நான் பணிந்தேர்த்த அருள் செய்த பீடுடைய பிரமாபுரம் மேவிய பெம்மான் இவனன்றே. சிவா திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். The next offering, as a part of the Uttamotama Seva, is the Kailaya Vadyam, the offering of the favorite drums and the drums beat of Paramashiva. देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिव कैलाय वाद्य प्रिय कैलाय वाद्यम अवधारय. The next offering, as a part of the Uttamotama Seva, is the offering of the Paramashiva Shakti Avishkarana. As, as a fruit of the puja, we experience oneness and we offer the space of oneness as a power manifestation back at the feet of Shri Nithyananda Shri Parashakti Sameta Shri Nithyananda Shri Paramashiva. देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिव परमशिव शक्ति आविष्करण प्रिय परमशिव शक्ति आविष्करणम अवधारय.
Nityanandam, as part of today's Paramashiva Shakti Avishkarana, offered to Shri Nithyananda Shri Parashakti Sameta Shri Nithyananda Shri Paramashiva and our beloved Guru Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam, offering of this power manifestation of consciousness or matter at his feet. Before manifesting this power, consciousness or matter is about where your identity is not being placed and the identity or the image of Paramashiva, the Adi primordial Guru who plays the roles of creation, maintenance, rejuvenation, pulling out of delusion and liberation, with Mother Parashakti herself, Devi herself, sitting with 25 faces, 50 hands, and running this whole universe. His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam is just a channel to bring this science of manifestation, the science of Kailasa, the holy Hindu nation, to the whole world and make this manifestation takes place. In the Vedas and Agamas are about 463 plus powers where it has been mentioned, where every single individual human being are able to manifest. Swamiji is here to take us from this conscious breakthrough to super conscious breakthrough, from human to divine superhuman. The only thing you need is the initiation from the master, from an experienced master, and the oneness, the feeling connection with him. So now let us all get into the space of oneness by chanting the Maha Vakya, Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham, intensely vibrating the sounds, the mantras within ourselves, and observe this manifestation. Nithyananda Paramashivoham, Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om
this, we offer this Shakti Anushtana as part of the reciprocal Shiva to Sri Nithyananda Shri Parashakti Sameta Sri Nithyananda Shri Paramashiva and our beloved Guru Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam to allow us and to grace us with this our manifestation signs. Thank you, Nithyanandam.
देवदेवोत्तमं देवता सार्वभौमम् अखिलाण्डकोटिब्रह्माण्डनायकं श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वरी पराशक्ति समेतं श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवम् अष्टपुष्पैरभ्यर्च्य ॐ सर्वस्याप्त्यै सर्वस्य जित्यै सर्वमेव तेन आप्नोति सर्वं जयति ॐ तन्महेशाय विद्महे वाग्विशुद्धाय धीमहि तन्नः शिवः प्रचोदयात् ॐ हां हों शिवाय नमः ॐ श्री नित्यानन्देश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवाय नमः कर्पूरनीराजनं सन्दर्शयामि रक्षां धारयामि देवदेवोत्तम देवता सार्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिव आशीर्वाद प्रिय आशीर्वादम अवधारय ओम स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्याय्येन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनीं देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः इति स्वस्ति मन्त्रार्थाः सत्याः सफला भवन्तु इति भवन्तो महान्तो न गृह्णन्तो तथास्तु दुर्जन सज्जनो भूयात् सज्जन शान्तिमाप्नुयात् शान्तो मुच्येत बन्देभ्यः मुक्तश्चान्यान् विमोचयेत् इति भवन्तु महान्तो न गृह्णन्तो तथास्तु अपुत्राः पुत्रेण सन्तु पौत्रिणः अधनाः सधनाः सन्तु जीवन्तु शरदर्शतम् इति भवन्तो महान्तो न गृह्णन्तो तथास्तु राजा धर्मपतिः प्रजासु चरिताः पूजाधना सज्जनाः षट्कर्म प्रवरा द्विजाः प्रतिदिनं विद्या अनवद्या सदा वाणी सन्निहिता चिरं कविमुखैः सानन्दमव्याकुलाः सर्वे सन्तु वैदिकधर्म अनुष्ठातारः सौजन्यसन्तोषिणः इति स्वस्ति मन्त्रार्थाः सत्याः सफला भवन्तु इति भवन्तो महान्तो न गृह्णन्तो तथास्तु येषां देवदेवानां महादेवानां अखिलाण्डकोटिब्रह्माण्डनायकानां सकलभूयसृष्टिस्थितिसंहार तिरोभाव अनुग्रहाख्य पञ्चकृत्यपरायणानाम् आधिमद्यान्तरहितानाम् अप्रमेयपराक्रमाणां तत्त्वार्थगोचराणां श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वरी पराशक्तिसमेत श्रीनित्यानन्देश्वर परमशिवस्वरूपाणां श्री आदिगुरु अरुणगिरियोगीश्वरस्वरूपाणां श्रीकालभैरव महाकालीस्वरूपाणां श्री कैलासोन्नतद्वादशान्तश्यामलापीठारूढ श्री मीनाक्षी सुन्दरेश्वराभिन्नस्वरूप परशिवपुत्र रत्नकुमार गुरुमन्यतुल्यावताराणां श्री पार्वती स्तन्यपानलब्ध दिव्यज्ञान विश्रुत सकल निगमागमसारभूत द्राविड वेद प्रवक्तॄणां श्रीमत्परमशिवकरुणासमधिगत मुक्तामय चतुरश्रयान गीयमान छत्रचामर श्रीजिन्नकाहलादि समस्त बिरदावल्यलङ्कृत ज्ञान विज्ञान चक्रवर्ती सर्वजन संघ सद्यो निर्वाण दीक्षा व्यजापवर्ग वर्ष विश्रान जीमूत परमत कलभ केसरी शैव सिद्धांत स्थापनाचार्य श्री राजाधिराज पांड्य महाराज गुरु क्षपन शाक्यादि महांधकार निवारण ज्ञान भानु वीक्षणानर्हार्हद्वजोच्छेदनपूर्वक श्रीमद्वृषभध्वजस्थापक शैव समयकर्त्रे सर्वज्ञपीठारूढ श्रीजगद्गुरो श्रीज्ञानसम्बन्धदेशिक स्वामि वागीशसुन्दर माणिक्यवाचक स्वामिनाम् अवतारभूत श्रीज्ञानसम्बन्ध स्वामि पुनरुद्धृत श्यामलापीठ सर्वज्ञपीठ त्रिणवद्युत्तरद्विशततम गुरुमहासन्निधानानाम् अरुणगिरि योगीश्वर परंपरागत अरुणाचल सर्वज्ञपीठ गुरुमहासन्निधानानाम् कैलास परंपरागत कांची कैलास सर्वज्ञपीठ त्रयस्त्रिंशदुत्तरद्विशततम गुरुमहासन्निधानानाम् नित्योत्सव नित्य मंगल नित्य कल्याण नित्य रचित कैलास परंपरागत आदि कैलास नित्यानंद पीठ महासंस्थान महासिंहासन पीठकर्तॄणां साक्षात् श्री परमशिव समुद्भूत कैलास परंपरागत वैवस्वतमनु इक्ष्वाकु हरिश्चंद्र भगीरथ श्रीरामचंद्र शूरसेन इत्याद्यनवच्छिन्न सार्वभौम चक्रवर्ती परंपरागत चतुष्षष्टि योगिनी मंडित चतुष्षष्टि संप्रदाय प्रवर्तक मनुधर्म शासन सूर्यवंश प्राप्त सर्वज्ञ पीठ सुरांगी साम्राज्य मूर्धाभिषिक्त चूड़ामणीनाम साक्षात् श्री परमशिव समुद्भूत श्री कपिल महागुरु पुनरुद्धृत महानिर्वाणी पीठ अष्टोत्तर सहस्र श्री महामंडलेश्वराणां साक्षात् श्री परमशिव समुद्भूत श्री महागणपति समारंभ अनवच्छिन्न पीठाधीश्वर गुरु परंपरा प्राप्त अटल पीठ अष्टोत्तर सहस्र श्री अटल पीठाधीश्वराणां धर्म मुक्ति स्वर्गपुर स्वर्ण पीठ त्रयोविंश गुरु महासन्निधानानां कैलास परंपरागत आदिपीठ सर्वज्ञ पीठ जगद्गुरूनां श्री कैलास पुनरुद्धारकानां श्री कैलास परमाचार्यानां श्रीमत् परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य वर्यानां सच्चिदानंद प्रणव स्वरूपानां श्रोत्रिय ब्रह्मनिष्ठानां श्रीमज्जगद्गुरूनां श्रील श्री भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव श्री ज्ञानसंबंध देशिक परमाचार्य स्वामिनां पादारविन्दयोः भक्ति सिद्धिः समेषां सहकुटुम्बानां सकलैश्वर्य प्राप्तिः गुरुकृपाकटाक्ष सिद्धिः क्षेमस्थैर्य वीर्य विजय आयुरारोग्य ऐश्वर्यानां अभिवृद्धिः अरोगदृढगात्रता सिद्धिः आचन्द्रार्क वंशाभिवृद्धिः धर्मार्थ काम मोक्ष चतुर्विध फल पुरुषार्थ सिद्धिः सर्वदेव देवी स्वरूपस्य भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिवस्य पादारविन्दयोः अचञ्चला भक्ति सिद्धिः भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव प्रसादेन सकुटुम्बस्य ज्ञान वैराग्य जीवन मुक्ति प्राप्तिश्च भूयात्। इति भवन्तो महान्तो न गृह्णन्तो तथास्तु सर्वे जनाः सुखिनः सन्तो तथास्तु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु तथास्तु समस्त सन्मङ्गलानि सन्तो तथास्तु सर्वत्र नित्यानन्दध्वजारोहणं भवतु तथास्तु सर्वेषां भगवत् श्री नित्यानन्द परमशिव श्री ज्ञानसम्बन्धदेशिक परमाचार्य स्वामिनां परिपूर्ण कृपाकटाक्ष सिद्धिः अस्तु तथास्तु अयं धर्मः उत्तरोत्तरम् अभिवृद्धिरस्तु तथास्तु सर्वं भगवत् श्री नित्यानंद परमशिव पादुकार्पणमस्तु। ओम नित्यानन्दम् मंगलं कल्पवृक्षाय मंगलं ज्ञानदायिने सदाशिवाय श्री नित्यानन्देश्वराय मंगलं मंगलं श्री विद्याम्बायै मंगलं कामदायिन्यै सर्वमंगलदात्री नित्यानन्देश्वर्यै मंगलं मंगलं गुरुदेवाय मोक्षमूलाय मंगलं परावतार नित्यानन्दाय गुरवे मंगलं ध्यानमूलं गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरोः पदं मन्त्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरोः कृपा न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. मूलमन्त्रं यथाशक्ति जप्त्वा ॐ यत्किञ्चित् कर्म देवेश सदा सुकृतदुष्कृतं तन्मे शिवपदस्थस्य भुङ्क्षोक्षपय शङ्कर. शिवो दाता शिवो भोक्ता शिवः सर्वमिदं जगत्. शिवो यजति सर्वत्र यः शिवः सोऽहमेव तु. जपं समर्प्य ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. हरिः ॐ तत्सत्. सर्वं भगवत् श्रीनित्यानन्द परमशिवपादुकार्पणमस्तु. ॐ नित्यानन्दम्. The next offering as a part of the Uttama Seva is the offering of the Jnanapada Vivarna. देवदेवोत्तम देवता सर्वभौम अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक श्री नित्यानंदेश्वरी पराशक्ति समेत श्री नित्यानंदेश्वर परमशिव ज्ञानपाद विवरण प्रिय ज्ञानपाद विवरण अवधारय.
Kailasa, the good God country. Hinduism has something great to offer. Hindu God, Paramashiva, is good. We love him not just because he gives us what we want, but because he is good. He has so much. Hindu God has life positive, all-inclusive, good, spiritual, social, political, and moral principles. Hindu principles are guaranteed solutions for all the major problems of humanity: resettlement, violence and lawfare, impoverishment, inequality, environmental footprint, pandemic and biowar, disputes, feminist movement, women's rights, child rights, minority rights, linguistic rights, human rights. Because Hinduism has the best to offer to the world, Kailasa, standing tall since 1994 for the grand narrative of Hinduism, is the good God's country. Founder of Kailasa, Paramashiva, and his 1008th incarnation, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagwan Nithyananda Paramashivam, is the reviver of Kailasa, the enlightened civilization, the greatest Hindu nation. His Divine Holiness was birthed by his predecessors of enlightened masters, great rishis, munis, siddhas, who predicted and recognized His Divine Holiness, Bhagwan Nithyananda Paramashivam, as an incarnation of Paramashiva, as per the science of incarnation described in Hinduism. From his first Chaturmasya at the age of 3 in the year 1980 until the age of 16 in the year 1994, the Supreme Pontiff was trained for the revival of Kailasa. He began reviving Kailasa from the age of 16 after the coronation on the 25th May 1994. Kailasa that we see today is 26 years of sincere hard work of the reviver and Hindu diaspora all over the world. Kailasa has a potential population of 2 billion Hindus worldwide, with over 100 million applications to its citizenship already applied. Hinduism has stood over 10,000 years as an enlightened civilization, has been a global beacon of spiritual and timeless wisdom, technology, culture.
He's wearing a grey jacket. His name is Boris.
The world's ancient civilization produced more than 40% of the world's GDP.
Purpose of life is to experience oneness with the ultimate reality, Paramashiva. Life exists on the planet Earth for last 40 billion years, and 5 times life faced complete extinction on the planet Earth. But somewhere one DNA, one cell, living organism is thrown out of planet Earth, preserved inside a volcano rock after millions of years comes back to earth due to gravity or whatever.
नित्यानन्दं परमस्पदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि. Nithyananda, and I welcome every one of you for this morning Satsang with His Divine Holiness, Guru Mahasannidhanam, Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam. The Nithyananda TV is the official TV channel of Shri Kailasa, the only Hindu nation, the greatest Hindu nation. So over the last few days, we've been looking at the different aspects of the veg and non-veg. We also had the recent voting that was done on the vegetarianism and non-vegetarianism, where Hindus all across the globe participated in the first ever Hindu election, Hindu voting that was revived and organized by His Divine Holiness, Guru Mahasannidhanam, Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam. And we're also going to be getting into a lot more of these votings where Swami His Divine Holiness presents us an opportunity for every practicing and living Hindu all across the globe to cast their vote to decide what each and every one of them want to live in their life. Who is to decide what we use to do? As part of the same, today we are also going to look at another one briefing into the same veg and non-veg. And those of you who haven't casted your vote and who haven't raised your voice for this day, today you also have another opportunity to do it. Joining us is Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam, and he'll also be sharing his insights on the same. So here, the first understanding that we will look at is how we are a direct correspondent to duality by consuming meat. So we've been looking at the similar kind of understanding for the last few days. Today is a different perception, a different angle, a different take on this same understanding. So here, the first thing is that how the meat industry abuses the animals using the antibiotics. A research statistic shows that the meat industry uses 80% of the antibiotics to feed its cattle, to feed its animals, and feed the cattle farm. And this is a very shocking usage because literally the food, rather than the food, the antibiotics is what is used at a higher pace, in a higher speed. And this is used to prevent infections and improve growth rates in the animals. First thing, the methodology in which these are administered. Second, the kind of atmosphere in which they live, the place in which they live is so cramped and so tight-filled without any space that they start developing many wounds and they start getting into fights for space, fights for food, leading them to bruises and many other physical hurts, which then are not cared by the farmers and the meat industry. And from there, they get into the infection. And these infections once again start spreading over the other farm animals that are there. And to treat these all in the overall chain, the antibiotics are dumped into the food, hoping that they recover. And whatever dies and rots are continued to let it die rot, because it's practically not possible to see the number of animals that are there. It's only after a few days that these people take up the fish, each of his farm. So whatever there is across there is across, and all of that also contributes to the diseases that these animals go through their entire life. And irrespective of this, their life itself is shortened by giving them growth hormones, growth injections, so that they grow faster, and they also genetically modify these organisms so that they provide more meat and grow faster. So this is one angle, one aspect of how the meat industry destroys the entire lifestyle and the life of that particular organism, of that particular living being, and all this done at the cost of us eating meat. Your voice matters. You can change this. You can contribute to this change. You can go over to kailasa.org kailasa voting -1, and you can choose to vote, and you can also go over to the Twitter, share your opinion on the same, whether you want the vegetarianism or the non-vegetarianism, and also become part of this discussion by going over to Twitter and sharing your understanding, your opinion on the same. Let's look at a few more.
Yes, thank you, Sundaresh Ramaraj. Now, in 1910, in the United States, a meat shortage resulted in protests and boycotts. After this and other shortages, the public demanded government research into stabilization of food supplies. Since the 1900s, livestock production on United States farm has had to rear larger quantities of animals over a short period of time to meet new consumer demands. It was discovered in the 1940s that feeding animals subtherapeutic levels of antibiotics improved feed efficiency and accelerated animal growth. Following this discovery, American Cyanamid published research establishing the practice of using antibiotic growth promoters. By 2001, this practice had grown so much that a report by the Union of Concerned Scientists found that nearly 90% of the total use of antimicrobials in the United States was for non-therapeutic purposes in agriculture production. Certain antibiotics, when given in low subtherapeutic doses, are known to improve feed conversion efficiency. More output, such as muscle or milk, for a given amount of feed, and may promote greater growth, most likely by affecting gut flora. So you can see that in the statistic presented here, this is a result of almost a century of consumeristic lifestyle. 1 century worth of consumeristic lifestyle is what has led up to the problems we are facing in today's world, whether be it obesity or be it cancerous problems. If you look at the statistics, it is because of the demand of consumeristic lifestyle that the government and that the United States had to do whatever they did in terms of the research, or in terms of feeding the cattle with antibiotics and with accelerated growth hormones, with such chemicals which less feed will give more growth and will give more milk, or whatever they were doing. But the root cause of all of this was not only the corruption or greed of the meat industry, but also the demand and the unconsciousness of the consumeristic lifestyle of the people. It is only when we drop and change the consumeristic lifestyle with which everyone is living with, we will be able to, only then the demand will drop. and without the demand dropping, there is no other solution for the stop of meat and the closure of the meat industry. For the consumeristic lifestyle to change, people need to be enlightened. Basically, they need to be given the understanding of how they are destroying not only themselves but they are destroying the world as well by continuing on this meat industry lifestyle. Until that understanding, and until each and every person understands the harm and the destruction they are doing to themselves and they are doing to the world, only then consumerism will drop, and only then we can change to the lifestyle of Kailasa, the lifestyle of Sanatana Hindu Dharma, where be it water or be it crops and food, everything was a self-sufficient system. Everyone took care of their own personal needs, and whatever they grew extra, they grew more than enough for themselves. Whatever they needed, they kept for themselves, and they shared everything else with the world. That was such a lifestyle of Kailasa, where sharing was our fundamental principles, not consuming and not collecting, but sharing. Even now, it is not too late. You can still cast your vote by visiting kailasa.org/kailasa-voting-1. Please also voice your opinions. And what do you think about non-vegetarianism? What do you think about the meat industry? How do you think we can save the planet and we can fight this battle? By joining Twitter with the hashtag Hindu votes are sacred. As you can see in the photos also given below, this is so unnatural and so mutated, and just for the sake of human consumerism, the torture which we are inflicting on animals is not correct, and the karma also for all of this will be way beyond more than we can imagine. The pain all of these animals must be going through just for the sake of having a snack or having one meal is really unimaginable. So we need at some point somewhere we need to start the change and stop this harm which is happening to humanity, happening to the different species with which we are living with, and stop the harm which we are doing to ourselves, to humanity itself. Back to you, Maharaj.
Yes, thank you very much, Maharaj. As Mangala Maharaj was sharing with every one of us, the meat industry itself has to change from a consumeristic lifestyle, or rather I can say that the meat industry itself has come up due to the consumeristic lifestyle. If each and every one of us on our individual scale decide to refrain from the meat industry, then that is enough for the entire consumeristic lifestyle to drop down, and we can save the planet. So each and every one of you all across the globe, your voices matter and your decisions matter. Here we're looking at another statistic about the antibiotic resistance. So we have heard about these in the human lives, in our lives. Some of you might have heard about it, where basically when you keep repeatedly giving a certain antibiotic for a particular bacteria or a virus, what happens is that after a certain time, due to the natural selection, maybe initially first time when you use the antibiotic, about 90 percentage of, or maybe 99 percentage, 95 percentage of those pathogens are killed, but the remaining 5 percentage remain in your bloodstream or remain in your body. Now, what happens is that over a period of time, these 5 percentage starts growing, and next time when you're again infected, when you take the same antibiotics, the next 80 percentage may be dead, but the 20 percentage remains to be alive, because they are the ones that are already mutated and are not affected by that particular medication that is used. Over course of time, the entire pathogen that is there is already mutated, naturally selected, that has become resistant towards those particular antibiotics that we are using. This is the same thing that happens within the animals also. And what happens is that now these resistant bacteria, because At a mass scale, when the antibiotics are dumped into their food and are dumped into them, injected into them, most of the animals develop the antibiotic resistant bacteria and pathogens. So what happens is that during the time of slaughter, these resistant bacteria, which is in the animal's guts, contaminate the carcasses, ending up on the meat. So what you are eating when you eat the raw meat or eat the undercooked meat is that this bacteria can pass to us and contribute to resistant infections that becomes chronic because they are already resistant to various types of antibiotics that exist. And same way, when their manure or the slurry is spread on the land, even that contains these antibiotic resistant bacteria and antibiotic residues itself. So they get into the water, they get into the crops, they get into the land, making the land infertile, making the water polluted. And when it enters into the water, the various other organisms, the fishes and the other aquatic creatures that consume them, now they imbibe, and these bacteria gets into their body as well. And once again, this starts a vicious loop. We catch those fish and we eat them. So again, once again, it comes back to us. So at multiple layers and levels, we are causing a habitat and an entire ecosystem damage at the cost of the life, and at the same time destroying our life also, because at the end, we are the end users. We are the final consumers of whatever we are growing. And most resistance in human infections is due to the medical use of antibiotics. But we know that the farm is making the problem worse now, including for the antibiotics classified as critically important or last resort with the human medicine. So once we start doing this, because already you can see going forward, we'll see that how the meat industry has a direct effect on the human problems such as the obesity and how it has got a direct relationship. You'll also understand that some of the medicines that we haven't used for the humans and have been preserved as the last resort, where if nothing else works, only that is left, even those stopped working because of the meat industry, because those resistant bacteria have already been mutated to that particular antibiotic. So when you are affected by that bacteria or that infection, then none of it works and you finally end up with severe chronic disabilities leading to death itself. It is our decision, our choice to change this lifestyle from a vegetarian to from a vegetarian lifestyle. You can switch from a non-vegetarian to a vegetarian lifestyle and get rid of it once and for all. You could have been living the same way over the last couple of years or even for multiple decades. But even now, if you decide to switch, there are so many testimonials of people who switch from a non-vegetarian lifestyle to a vegetarian and a vegan lifestyle, and how their lives have greatly been improved, and they have been able to see multiple health benefits, increased amounts of strength, stamina, and overall well-being. So that is an opportunity that every one of us can utilize just by taking the decision now. If you have any doubts, you have any questions, or you want to you need some help, you can go over to kailasa.org, and you can also go over to the Twitter and tweet your questions, or if you have any difficulties, you can share them so we can help you with them. And also cast your vote at kailasa.org/kailasa-voting-1 to register your vote for the same. Let's now see another statistic on how the overuse of the meat industry, overuse of the antibiotics in the meat industry affects the humans. This is a continuation to the previous one. Yes, Mangala Maharaj, please go ahead.
Yes, using antibiotics in animals raises the risk of transmitting drug-resistant bacteria to humans either by direct infection or by transferring resistant genes from agriculture into human pathogens. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, antibiotic resistance is responsible for 25,000 annual deaths in the European Union and 23,000 annual deaths in the US. As many as 2 million US individuals develop a drug-resistant infection each year. So what consumeristic lifestyle basically has done is slowly, because of their insatiable greed, has forced the government, forced corporations to add more and more antibiotics. And as the research statistic is showing, those antibiotics are directly destroying and directly not only inflicting diseases but causing deaths as well. For literally, the food which they eat to satisfy their hunger is not just satisfying their hunger but killing them as well. So what is the purpose of food in the first place? If it is not nourishing you, then it is literally killing you. You are being killed by the greed for which you had for meat and for flesh. It is because of that greed that the moment you consume it now, it is literally killing you and destroying you once and for all. The overuse of antibiotics in farming has been highlighted as one of the biggest emerging threats to human health, spreading resistance to vital drugs and endangering millions of lives. So another byproduct of the antibiotics in farming is that it develops antibodies to the existing drugs and existing drugs which are needed to protect ourselves. And so yes, basically it not only directly destroys your health, it destroys your immune system as well and destroys the other drugs which are used for the protection of your immune system. Let us now watch a small video about Kailasa.
I welcome all of you, the whole world, to come and celebrate, enjoy not only the enlightenment ecosystem, the beauty of how it is getting revived. Be an insider for this great revival process. If you are an insider even for a startup company, you will understand not only the result of the company, even that being an insider is such a joy. Being an insider when it was happening is something extraordinary. So, I welcome all of you to come and be part of an insider of this revival of Kailasa, the enlightenment ecosystem, sovereign order of Kailasa, Kailasa nation itself. I request and welcome, invite all of you to become e-Kailasian, get your free e-passport and make billions receive this free e-passport.
Yes, Nithyanam, everybody, welcome back. So as we've been looking at the various different dimensions of how the meat consumption and how the antibiotics get into the meat and directly land up into us, causing various different health issues. Here, we're going to look at some of the health issues that are caused by the red meat, and that is obesity and cancer. It is one of the biggest problems that we are facing. The red meat is associated with an increased risk of colon and rectum cancer, and evidence also suggests that it is also associated with some other cancers such as prostate and pancreatic cancer. Examples of red meat include beef, pork, and lamb. Processed meats are products that have been preserved by smoking, curing, salting, and or adding of chemical preservatives. Examples of meat include hot dogs, sausages, bacon, and luncheon meats. Processed meat is associated with an increased risk of colorectal cancer, and evidence also shows it is associated with stomach cancer. So, all of you, all of them who are actually eating the meat, are consciously making a decision that yes, you're going to invite all of these various diseases, these various cancers, and the obesity into your life. Because by consuming the meat, as you're seeing, you are giving a yes to it. Later point of time, there is no point in worrying or cribbing to yourself that nothing is healing, nothing is working, things are very bad, I'm not able to sustain. There's no point in thinking about all of that because we are the ones who have decided for this lifestyle. And you will see that there are multiple different aspects, multiple different statistics that are being presented to all of us as to how this meat directly causes harm to our body, not only in a short term, but also on a long term, and also genetically, such that even our future generations and our offsprings are also getting the same problems right from birth. We'll look at a few more statistics in the further slides. Before that, I would like to once again invite and welcome every one of you to go over to the Twitter, share your opinion on the same, and join this discussion by using the hashtags, hashtag Kailasa votes, hashtag Hindu votes, hashtag Kailas, hashtag Hindu votes are sacred, and hashtag veg or non-veg. And go over to kailasa.org/free hyphen e-passport and receive your free e-passport to become part of this great revival by His Divine Holiness Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam. As living and practicing Hindus, it is our lifestyle to enrich ourselves and to enrich the entire world. Joining us now is Sri Nithyananda Maharaj, who will be sharing some of his insights on the same. Nithyananda Maharaj.
Yes, Nithyananda Maharaj. Animal products, the main cause of obesity. Animal products contain such much more fat than plant-based foods. Because vegetarian diets are the only diets that work for long-term weight loss. It's no surprise that the population studies show that meat eaters have 3 times the obesity rate of vegetarians and 9 times the obesity rate of vegans. It's possible to be an overweight or obese vegan. Of course, as it is possible to be thin meat eater, but adult vegans are, on average, 10 to 20 pounds lighter than adult meat eaters. Seeing these statistics, you can see how the collective mortality of humanity, where they live lives just for food. They live just to be able to eat, and but the food is not just something that is going to be a nutrition for you, a medicine for you to conduct your life, to go about your business, but it is a hindrance and a weight onto you. It makes you fatter and makes you lethargic, slow, and extremely dull in your thinking. When this mass level of inactivism is able to be happening by one particular product, that is meat, and the amount of fat it gives, and that fat being stored in our systems gives us tremendous amount of mental problems, slowness, not wanting to be active and looking forward in life. It gives more back to the mental problems of depression and the mental problems of obsessive compulsive disorder or obsessive compulsive eating also. As the food is rich in fat, more and more consumption makes it more and more addictive. Just as it's possible to be a thin meat eater, but adult vegans are on average 10 to 20 pounds lighter than meat eaters. The plant-based diet is of course not going to have all the animal fat in it. It's going to have very minimal fat that the plant provides, but more of the nutrition. The nutritional value of the meat contains much more fat than the same 100 pounds of any vegetable or plant-based food. Vegetarianism is also good practice nowadays for people to have weight loss. There's a movement that is awakening in people to practice vegetarianism so that they can reduce their weight and be able to be more happy about themselves, about how they look in their lives. This obesity causes tremendous amounts of frequent death in the world. People have seen like the whole mortality of the rate, the death rate means the age at which someone may die has slowly been reduced since the introduction of these foods of the meat industry. The consumption of meat on a mass scale every day, 3 times a day or more. In the next slide, you can see the current trend of obesity in the United Kingdom. People who
Yes.
eat meat tend to consume more calories than vegetarians and vegans. However, the EPIC Panacea study found that even when they eat meat, the same number of calories, meat eaters gain more weight. They also found that people who eat lots of protein at the expense of fat or carbohydrates gain more weight too. Both results put the theory behind the Atkins diet in a dim light. This idea that protein makes me stronger, protein is an essential part of my diet, is a heavily advertised, heavily uh, over advertised, and as a result, over consumed. Meat is over consumed uh, as advertised because and people think that it needs to be an important part of their regular everyday diet or even their everyday meal. The next meal means where is my protein? The next meal means where is the meat? That thought is being placed into our minds by the greed-based consumeristic lifestyle that tells us that we need to think about the meat, and they do very much make sure that that the people are continuously remembering meat with their advertisements, with so much of media on it, and in that way causing so much of obesity and so much of uh, health problems. People who eat lots of protein at the expense of fat or carbohydrates gain more weight too. And they have found that even when they eat the same number of calories, meat eaters gain weight as the ones who are vegetarian. So it is not anything to do with calories that we eat. The idea of the way the calories idea is presented is also extremely convoluted in a way to manipulate people to think that it is just a number. It is not just a number about how much you eat, it is what you eat that is again and again being told by the science here. It is not what calories that you eat, it is the amount, it is what you eat, even if you eat so much of same amount of vegetarian food, and in caloric value, same amount of vegetarian food and in caloric value, same amount of meat. The meat will make you fatter, and the vegetables that you eat will do nothing so. Then another research here from the research from 170 different countries show that meat intake is directly linked to weight gain. Another study suggesting that meat is as bad as sugar found that if we eat more than enough food, fats and carbohydrates are digested first for energy, and the energy in meat protein, not combined with fiber like plant protein, ends up being stored as fat. They say that public health strategies should be put in place to reduce meat consumption. So biologically, we can see studies show that a human being is surely not meant to eat meat, because what is immediately required for the body's energy is what the body uses up and expends for the function of the body. And here it shows that how the plant fibers, how protein, when is attached to the plant fibers, uh, helps it is digested even sooner than meat protein. So it is sure, yes, protein is important, and plant protein is real. It is completely put aside. I think protein is only a piece of meat. That idea many people will have, but this study shows that plants have protein, and from the plants we'll be able to derive that much faster than how we would derive it from meat. And from plants, we'll be able to digest it, keep it and expend it, and not have it become a part of our fat, such that the meat will die. Whereas if you eat meat, the meat will immediately become part of your body, and it is the last thing to be digested. Hence, since it's the last thing to be digested before the carbohydrates and the fats, it will be stored. It has no use in our body other than to become fat. So the moment meat is put in, it has nothing to do with it has nothing to do a value that is protein. It immediately is stored as fat, as this study is showing. These studies are awakening the world to the way that we have been manipulated to think what is good for us, to give us some idea by telling the word calorie or telling the word protein and telling you need to have this many calories in a day, and saying that if you have this many calories of protein, you will be healthy. This has not done anything to bring health to people. It has only given tremendous hardships in the form of obesity. So the current trends of obesity in the United Kingdom are presented here. These studies are again and again proving that Sri Kailasa is and the vegetarian lifestyle that Swamiji wants everybody to adapt is the way to go, the way to be self-sustaining, thinking about what you're putting into your body, thinking about how it's going to be digested inside me, and how it's going to become a part of me, and what it is that is going to be a part of me. This particular way, awareness, this particular way of thinking is what Sri Kailasa is about, is what His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam is bringing out. And if you want to make a change, to be able to say, I stand to be putting these third currents into me, to change the way I behave, change the way I eat, my food behavior. I want to make a difference and show to the world. You can share that on kailasa.org. You can go to kailasa.org/kailasa voting 1 to make a vote on vegetarianism and make a difference in the world. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. As Raja Maharaj has been sharing, He has given a lot of information on with respect to how the obesity and how the meat consumption directly leads to obesity, breaking it down to various different aspects, and how what are all the components and what are all the different items that our body decides to choose while eating to digest. So that was something that we had also seen. Here is another statistic, or I can say a graph that we are looking at, where America is fatter than ever. So you can look at this graph starting from 1999 till 2016, where you can look at the adults and the youth. So as you can see, the trend has always been raising. Sorry for the technical glitch. So as you can see that it has always been raising, starting from 30.5% of the adults in 1999 to 39.6%, literally 10% increase. Already 40%, literally 30% of the people back there were already obese. Nithyananda Rajamaraj, I think there is a technical issue from your side. Request you to mute yourself. So here we are just looking. So this is the statistic, and you can see that even the youth who are below the age of 20, 25, around the age of that itself have started becoming obese. So which means that the younger the age where you're becoming obese, you are moving towards the direction of a chronic problem, a chronic disease in your life. So now, before we enter into the next segment of this session, let us watch a beautiful video on Sri Kailasa.
I welcome all of you, the whole world, to come and celebrate, enjoy not only the enlightenment ecosystem, the beauty of how it is getting revived. Be an insider for this great revival process. If you are an insider even for a startup company, you will understand not only the result of the company, even that being an insider is such a joy. Being an insider, when it was happening, is something extraordinary. So, I welcome all of you to come and be part of an insider of this revival of Kailasa, the enlightenment ecosystem, sovereign order of Kailasa, Kailasa nation itself. I request and welcome, invite all of you to become e-Kailasian. Get your free e-passport and make billions receive this free e-passport.
Nithyanam everybody, and welcome back. So here we're looking at another beautiful segment on the meat industry and how its impacts are on the human life as well as the life of those animals. So here we're going to look at some of the data and statistics on how the meat industry is actually a secret, unspeakable torture industry abusing animal life. According to the UN, the United Nations, the number of industrial livestock that is slaughtered each year is equivalent to 8 times the human population on planet Earth. At no other time in history have so many animals died or suffered so much throughout their lives. Meat industry is the main cause of animal suffering and abuse. These silent victims have to be converted into machines that generate meat, milk, and eggs. These animals are sentient beings with a desire to live, but meat eaters take that life away. Even as per this research data, you can see that it takes 8 times the life. You literally take away 8 lives to eat one meal, or for you to eat a meal and a non-vegetarian meal. And whereas if you look at the vegetarian lifestyle, just by you becoming a vegetarian, you can feed 14 other people. Every one of us, as per another statistic, there are about 76% of the people in the entire world who have any of the pets, either cats, dogs, birds, any of these pets. Now, while that percentage of people have pets, who are growing pets, and when something happens to those particular pets, how much they get concerned, how much they are worried about the pain of that particular animal, but at the same time choose to cut and eat another animal is completely hypocritical. That is what we are doing. In our life, if you are a vegetarian, then you respect every life around. Even the milk that is produced as per the guidelines of Paramashiva in our Vedagamic tradition is a completely non-violent way, where the mother cow, the cow is respected, revered, and worshipped as Devi, Parashakti, mother herself. And from that worship, whatever is left over after feeding the calves is then consumed by us. So, the entire Vedagamic tradition itself has been a completely non-violent tradition, right from its core principles. So, when you enter into that, even the milk becomes completely, I can say it is literally vegan, because there is no cruelty instilled in it. But in other metropolitan cities and commercialized consumeristic societies, even the milk and the dairy industry is nothing but a torture for all of these animals, cows that are living. It is each and every one of our responsibility as living Hindus and practicing Hindus to stand up, to take the responsibility, to vote and decide what are all the lifestyle practices that we want to have, that we want to implement in our life, so that we can live a sustainable future and give the same peaceful and a happy future for the 8 billion lives that are living around. And for this, you can make a difference by going over to kailasa.org/kailasa-voting-1 and share your vote on whether you want to have the vegetarian lifestyle or the non-vegetarian lifestyle. You can also go over to Twitter and join this discussion by using the hashtags #Kailasa votes, #Hindu votes, and #Hindu votes matter. Hindu votes are sacred. Using these hashtags, you can comment your opinion, you can put down your opinion and become part of this discussion. Make sure that you also receive your free e-passport to Sri Kailasa at kailasa.org/free-e-passport, which is the free e-passport to the only Hindu nation, Sri Kailasa, that is revived by His Divine Holiness, Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam, Bhagavan Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Joining us again is Sri Nithya Mangalananda Maharaj and Sri Nithya Rajananda Maharaj to give their insights and inputs on the same.
Nityanand, so back again. What is a factory farm and how animals are tortured? Factory farm is a term commonly used to describe an industrial facility that raises large numbers of farm animals such as pigs, chickens, or cows in intensive confinement where their movements are extremely inhibitable. Animals are kept in cages or crates or are crowded together in pens. These types of farms are sometimes referred to as concentrated or confined animal feeding operations. So as you can see, continuing the point which Sundaresh Ramesh had explained, many of us have seen, many of us might even have pets, be it birds or animal, dogs, cats, rabbits, so many types of pets which we'll have. Many households are more than one. When it comes to the health of those animals, of those dogs, of those cats, how much we would run behind them, making sure they're getting well, or taking them to the veterinarian. Some even give clothes and celebrate birthdays for these animals. So when such care is possible by human beings to a certain set of animals, why isn't that same care there for the others? What is the difference which a chicken what is the difference between a cow or a chicken which is not there in a cat or a dog? It is nothing but the consumeristic mental setup and the advertisement given for consumerism, which has changed this, and which is not giving the same, preventing the same importance given to cats and dogs to happen for the animals which are being slaughtered for meat consumerism. Cows are considered very sacred in Hinduism, but why doesn't it get the status of how a pet animal, or how a dog or how a cat would get that status? This is one of the many ways, in the name of secularism, and in so many different ways, Hinduism is slowly being degraded, slowly being destroyed, where cows are not given the same importance as a cat or as a dog. Not only in Hinduism, but many other religions, cow is considered one of the most sacred symbols, and the non-due importance given to the cow, which are given to cats and dogs, are all part of a much bigger plan to silently and but if effectively destroy Hinduism, destroy the Sanatana Hindu Dharma, breaking our backbone, our Gurukul system, our Goshala system, our fundamental principle of doing Annadan. All these things are some of the fundamental principles of our dharma, of our Sanatana Hindu Dharma, and preventing all of this, preventing the same care and same love which is given to a cat or a dog or to any other domestic pet animal, preventing that same care and love to be given to cows by the continuous advertisement of beef and the continuous advertisement of the meat industry is just another way to slowly and strategically destroy the Hindu Dharma in the world. This can still be changed. You can still change this from happening and from this spreading continuously around the world. You can visit kailasa.org/voting-1, where you can cast your vote and voice out your opinion about non-vegetarianism and vegetarianism. And please feel free to join the conversation, voice out your opinions about the matter at hand with the hashtag Hindu votes are sacred on Twitter, leading to you, Raja Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. Breeding animals into existence so they can be killed. The purpose of these factory farms is only to be able to produce meat, to produce and give animals only for the purpose of having meat. Animals on these farms exist for only one reason, and they are bred to be killed. Animals on factory farms don't know what it is like to be free. These animals don't know comfort. They aren't allowed to experience family, friends, and they do in nature, as they do in nature. They experience fear, suffering, and extreme discomfort throughout their lives and before being packed into trucks and taken to the slaughterhouse. You can see the picture of these animals here. They live like this all day. All day, as an animal, just see, you will be just in this position. It is extremely brutal to be giving such a treatment, to be able to have this treatment happen to you. The companies and farmers responsible for their survival, they are nothing more than pegs in the machine. An animal is a manifestation of Paramashivoham. It is sacred. It is something that needs to be lived happy. It is not something to be killed and used for our pleasure. And this is not just killing, this is its entire life. It is grown and bred just to be eaten by something else. They are far from conscious beings deserving of a life free from fear and torture. They don't deserve this kind of a life. They deserve to be free, to be living healthy life where they can have their comfort, where they can properly grow physically, properly have their next kin, they can have their next kid generation, they can give birth, they can reproduce healthily, all their basic rights to have a physical body, to have this is extreme adharma. You can see the way they live is extreme adharma. No chance, no hope, not even giving a possibility of anything, of being able to be happy. Such a cage, such a way of life is brought by greed and tremendous insensitivity. The promise of Shri Kailasa is to bring out extreme sensitivity from all beings that live in the world, that is in the world of Paramashiva's manifestation. Don't worry, you can vote to change this. Already the conversations are going on about this meat industry, about how Sri Kailasa is paving the way for many people to have a voice and vote. You can go to kailasa.org/kailasa-voting-1 to cast your vote. Back to you, Maharaj.
Yes, thank you very much, Maharaj. As Raja Maharaj was sharing with every one of us the various different aspects, in this aspect, we are looking at why we need to choose a vegetarian lifestyle over the non-vegetarian lifestyle. The human body, as we've been seeing over the last few slides, is naturally designed for the vegetarian food. The inner mechanisms like the thoughts, the words, the feeling, everything is designed to function with a vegetarian food. It's like having a generator that can handle only 220 volt or a UPS that can handle only 220 volt but is given 20,000 volts of current. What will happen? Just get fused. Same way, if the system is designed by nature for vegetarian food and non-vegetarian food is constantly dumped into it due to ignorance, the results will need to be faced. And here, it's not just ignorance, rather it is arrogance. A certain population of the world do not know about these, and a major part of the world, even knowing it, do not want to get over it. That is where the biggest problem is. Even if every one of us know and decide, all those people who know the side effects and how it is adversely affecting the human body, the red meat and the meat itself is adversely affecting the human body and the animal life itself. If we all decide to change, those who already know, that itself will drop down the meat consumption by 80%. The rest of the 20% can then easily be educated and we can switch over to a completely sattvic vegetarian lifestyle as described by Paramashiva in the Bhagavad Shastra. The biggest problem is that even though we know, we want to hold on to it because we choose what is pleasant rather than what is right. We want to choose by the temporary gratification that we get rather than the permanent and the delayed gratification. What comes immediate and instant, our life, our eyes, our hands go behind that. And we do not care about what we are going to face for the time. This has become a lifestyle, this has become a cognition from the entire consumeristic society, especially the communities with the ideologies who function with the ideologies that life is one and you only have one life, so enjoy your life as long as you live. These kind of immature and inadequate understandings and cognitions about life are also a major contribution to living and to continue to live with these kind of problems and with these kind of food habits, knowing that it is actually killing us. Food which is supposed to make us live is directly doing what it is not supposed to, which is killing us. And still we hold on to it because of our ignorance and arrogance. Decide to make a difference, decide to change this by you standing up for the vegetarian lifestyle. You can go over to kailasa.org/kailasa voting -1 and cast your vote for vegetarianism. This is non-vegetarianism. And you have this opportunity for one last time to make your voice heard. And you can also receive your free e-passport to Sri Kailasa, where not only the lifestyle practices are taught, but even the core principles, Swamiji makes it and puts it out in such a user-friendly manner that every one of us can live it the way we want in our life, making it a completely and a very easily followable understanding, where all of these things are not even heard of because the very lifestyle itself is such. So go over and cast your vote at kailasa.org/voting, kailasa-voting-1. And as 2 billion Hindus all across the globe, your voice can change. Kailasa is the world's greatest Hindu nation, where food is completely free of charge. This extraordinary evolutionary movement of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is shaking so many corruptions and adulteration that goes behind the destruction caused by the meat industry and the consumeristic lifestyle. By casting your vote, you are voicing your support to this cause. Therefore, voicing out to stop the abuse of the animals and ultimately stop the abuse of yourself by the meat industry. Let us now watch a beautiful video and then enter into preparing ourselves to receive the Nitya Satsang from His Divine Holiness Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Let us now prepare ourselves to get into the Upanishad with His Divine Holiness Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam Bhagavan Shri Nithyananda Paramashivam. Let us all sit straight with our head, neck and spine in a straight line and chant the Mahavakya Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. and enter into the space of deep oneness and Upanishad with Swamiji.
I welcome you all with my love and respect. Let you all open all your three eyes. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om 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 Nithyananda Paramashivoham.